Hi everyone. We're going to talk about socialization today. Now, of course, we're going to be talking about it from a sociological perspective, but for many of you, if you've ever had a psychology course, developmental psychology, general psychology, I'm sure you talked heavily about the socialization process and how it's important to the person that you become. So for us, we're going to define socialization as learning to be a good member of society. For us, it's not all about you and who you are, but for a sociologist, the processes of socialization teach us how to be responsible members of various social groups and also how to be a responsible member of the bigger social structure. So for us, this process of socialization is really essential to society. It allows us to formulate or to count on, rely on the fact that there's going to be a world outside of our own personal bubbles that we can depend on, other people that are similar to us and think the same way that we do. And that process of socialization for a sociologist really helps us to form the framework of the structure of society from the symbolic interaction point of view. Another aspect of socialization is learning norms, values, and other parts of our culture. And we have two different kinds of socialization that we generally consider. The first of those is primary, which happens during our childhood years, perhaps before the age of puberty, 11, 12 years old, 13. And this has a significant influence on the person that we end up being as a grown-up. Our childhood socialization processes really do shape and influence, for most of us, who we become. And once we become adults, we rarely look back on those processes to see how they might have been different or how they might have shaped us in a different way or down a different path. Secondary socialization happens after primary, and we hope continues through your whole entire adult life. You never stop learning to be a better person and a better member of society. Both of these kinds of socialization, primary and secondary, occur by what we call agents of socialization. So depending on the book you're reading or the scholar you're listening to, the list of primary agents of socialization can fluctuate a little bit. I've put the most common 6 here, but there are others. As an example, once you become an adult, the workplace is a significant agent of socialization, so you'll sometimes see it included on this list too. Now, some of these are more powerful than others, and some have no or little influence on us at the individual level. The most powerful agent of socialization is the family, and it always has been that way in American society, other societies around the world too, but remember, we're focusing on America in this course. So the family has always had the tightest hold over socializing us. It has been the agent that teaches us the differences between right and wrong, our moral compass. It has been the agent that regulates sexual behavior. Parents or caregivers tell us when it's okay to have sex, who it's okay to have sex with, how to have relationships with other people. The family teaches us about all of the other agents of socialization. It teaches us ideas and ideals about the government and religion and so on and so forth. Now, some interesting research on agents of socialization tells us that the family has actually started to lose some ground to 2 other agents of socialization who are starting to take over some of those responsibilities of the socialization process that the family used to take on. Those 2 new groups that are taking a little bit of that space from the family's role in socialization are peers and media. That's probably no surprise to any one of you. We have some really interesting research on peer groups also. Some of you may have been in families where you had a parent or a caregiver who said to you, I don't want you hanging out with little fill in the blank with a name. They're not a good influence. I think they're going to lead you down the wrong path, and I don't want you to hang out with them so much. Well, here's what the research actually tells us about peer groups. You don't pick your friends because they're not like you. You pick your friends because they are like you, which means that if your parents have an opinion of a friend that is maybe not so great, your parents probably then don't really have a good idea of who you are, because you're not going to pick people to hang out with that are dissimilar to you. You're going to pick people to hang out with that are a source of comfort, that get you. I have friends that I've had for decades, and I oftentimes don't even have to speak to them. I can just have a certain look on my face, and they understand exactly what I mean, and vice versa for me with them too. So if you have peers and your parents think that they're going to be a bad influence on you, your parents probably just don't know you very well at all. Don't tell them I said that. All right, and then we have the media, which includes social media, and social media really, realistically, is probably the biggest part of media that we are consumers of today. Now, you'll oftentimes hear people who are older than you say, you're spending way too much time on that phone, or I don't know why you're hanging out on Facebook so much, or fill in the blank, whatever social media you want, TikTok, Twitter, whatever it is. So social media has kind of gotten a bad rap in the eyes of people who are older, that are in generations prior to you. Personally and professionally, as a sociologist, I'm not so sure that social media is a negative influence. But I think as we get older, we have to really recognize that it's our duty to be informed consumers of media. And so if we're spending an inadvertent amount of time surfing around looking for silly animal videos or ridiculous things that don't really have any kind of bearing on our life, then instead we need to perhaps try to work consciously to shift our focus to some social media that might be having an overall positive benefit on who we are and what our society is. That doesn't mean there's not space to be looking around at silly animal videos and crazy stuff on TikTok. There certainly is. But I think that in general, what I have seen in my lifetime is that social media has evolved. It's gotten more mature. And I believe with that, it has the ability to be a great equalizer for society. We have at our fingertips now information that never would have been immediately available to us in prior generations. It would have been more common to have to go buy the newspaper and read it, or to tune into the 6 o'clock news and listen to that, or to go somewhere and hear a lecture from somebody who is considered to be a scholar or an expert in an area. Today, you can do that with the click of a button or the touch of a finger on your tablet. And so it's really your job as a consumer of all of that information to make sure that you're using it to your best advantage. And when you do, you strengthen the fabric of society. All right, so this provides you with just a little bit of information about the socialization process, and we'll pick up with some theories next. All right, take care. Bye-bye.